Listen, I hope everyone that broke off for the tourism session found that very, very useful. And for those that remained in this room, I hope you liked the case study. Again, for the tourism groups that were outside, my name is Stewart Miller. I'm an export advisor with Scottish Development International. And I've got a colleague of mine, Jim, at the back there, who looks after food and drink. And I cover tourism and all other sectors. So, in terms of assistance that SDI and HI can give you, it really breaks into 4 parts. There's advice, training, products and finance. To me, the advice part is probably the most important part, and it's the first stage. Now, I don't want to complicate things, but for us, is anybody high account managed in here? Okay, that's good. There's quite a few of you then. Basically, for international advice, you go through your high account manager and say, look, I request some international advice. Because I think it's quite a good system in Highlands and Islands Enterprise. Your account manager handles all these different parts of training and help and all that, and that coordinates it, so that keeps it easy. But for non-high account managed companies, there's an email up there, international@highent.co.uk. Obviously, you can catch some of us today, but if you don't, just go home and email that and say, look, I would quite like an advisor to talk to me, to help me with Germany or whatever. I mean, what we do, Jim and myself, we work quite a lot with companies that are only starting out in the exporting journey, or they might have been reactive exporters. So what we'll do is we'll either do it on the phone or we'll do it face-to-face. We'll do an audit with you. We'll talk it through with your business. We'll hopefully help you decide if you want to export or not, and if you want to, we can help you on that journey. We can signpost you to a lot of things. We can actually provide you with advice. So we're actually here to help you on that journey. So as I mentioned, there's Jim and myself, the two of us that cover that. So something's happened to the slides here. I don't know what the top's happened. They've all disappeared. But anyway, talking about the training side of things, today, for example, you'll hear about a workshop about Germany. So HI puts on these free events, which are fantastic. They also there's some leaflets on your table, the blue leaflets there. That'll tell you some of the free export training coming up. But they basically deliver an introduction to exporting, an intermediary exporting course for companies. So the introduction to exporting is obviously for companies that don't export, or you might have taken on a new member of staff that needs to be trained up. So, use that for complete flexibility as well. And there's also sector-specific events, and I believe that in the future there will be tourism-specific events, there'll be food and drink-specific events and so forth. So there is a hie.co.uk/events. So if you want to ever go in there, it'll tell you all the forthcoming events coming up as well. So in terms of products, I'll try and give you a quick overview. There is a lot of organisations in here today. We all work very closely with each other. So if it is very confusing after day, just pick up the phone, talk to one of us. We'll keep you all right, because a lot of my job is signposting to other organisations to help you. But one of the first and important things is market research. SDI, we have a large department in Clydebank, and basically they are actually there to help companies carry out any desk research. So if there's any information you wish to find out, I can compile a basic brief together with you, and we fire it off to these guys, and they'll come back within a few days. I do stress it's published information, so sometimes it can be out of date, but it can be a very good starting point. It might be something basic like, I want to identify some tour operators, some agents in Germany, or I'd like to find a distributor in Germany, for example. So they can help with that as well. My colleague Crystal is going to talk about an SDI overseas mission to Germany after I finished here. These are fantastic. I should stress I've been an exporter as well. I've set up businesses in China and India, Istanbul. So I've been in both sides of the fence, and the SDI overseas missions are fantastic. You sign up for them. You actually tell SDI the type of companies, partners that you'd like to meet in that country, and they go off and find you partners. So the fantastic thing is when you go to these missions, you're actually meeting potential partners that have got an interest to see you. So you're not trying to push the doors open. I mean, SDI have offices all over the world. They've got fantastic relationships there, especially for inward investment. And I would really stress, it's important to use all these networks. And so does the Chamber of Commerce, So we've got really, really wide networks all over the world. So I would stress, to use these where you can. Another product that we can help you with is an international strategy workshop. Again, if you're wanting to plan ahead, we're very much about planning strategically here, and I'll come to the Go Global. One of the reasons we've got a high limit is because we want you to look at 12-month activities, not one-off activities. But an international strategy workshop was really pulling your management team together, and we facilitate for you, and we discuss how you want to internationalise, what markets you want to focus on. Most of you in this room are probably you're going to be small, you're going to be SMEs without a doubt, and you're probably going to focus, if you're starting an international journey, you're going to focus on 1-2 markets mostly. So this exercise decides with you and with all the research at hand, we can decide and help you which market you want to target, and then we'll look at that, and we'll start planning activities for you, and we'll work on that. And really we're just trying to make you grow, to make you internationalise, and the ambition is down to you, how much you want to grow, what resources you want to put together. Another product that we can assist you with is a thing called International Manager for Hire. So that is typically bringing in somebody that's very experienced in exporting. They've probably might have worked in the marketplace for 20 years or something like that, so they're maybe a consultant. You can have them full-time or part-time, but what I can do is pay 50% of that salary, and they would typically be employed between a minimum of 3 months, but more likely 12 months. So that's great. So you can actually bring in a skilled resource to help you grow, and high/SDI can cover up to half that cost. The Global Scot programme I mentioned very briefly, I do reiterate it again, because the tourism guys have joined us. We've got over 600 skilled people throughout the world. They're either Scottish, so they've got a close affinity to Scotland, and they're desperate to help companies to grow in these markets. And it's really, really a fantastic underutilised programme. You can go into globalscot.com, register, and as I said to the audience earlier, you can actually put in the industry sector you're part of and what country you're interested in, and a number of profiles will come up. So you can actually see some of the global Scots you could be working with. And then again, we can tie them up with you, and that can, give you free access as well, which is great. We also have a programme called the Specialist Technical Support. So if you come up with very, very difficult questions I or Jim can't answer, we do have a team that are very experienced, and they will go off and find out if it's very, very technical questions. So we think we've got, between all the organisations here, we've got most bases covered actually. So in terms of financial assistance, any business that wants to grow, hire, very, very supportive. I mean, it's all about job creation and helping you create an economic base here in the Highlands and Islands. But in terms of internationalisation, probably the key programme we have is the Go Global programme. And I think personally this is a fantastic programme. It's a one-off application procedure. It's a relatively simple application to complete. There is a minimum grant level of, was it £1,700 grant? And it's up to 50%, so you have to put in eligible expenditure of $3,400. That sounds like a lot of money, but if you're planning it over a 12-month period, it can soon go. I mean, going to one exhibition to trade, to exhibit there can cost that kind of money. So it has 4 strands to it, and it's very, very good. Firstly, in terms of overseas missions, if you want to do a solo trip to Germany, you've been here today, you've been inspired, you find out there's 2 or 3 tour operators in tourism you want to deal with, you want to go off to Germany, meet them in Munich, Stuttgart, or wherever, High can actually give you half, 50% of that cost. And what they contribute is the international flight and accommodation, a B&B basis. And these are the 2 big ticket items. So in continuing in that theme, if you actually want to go to an exhibition, again, they can cover your international flights and your accommodation, a B&B basis, but they can also contribute towards the cost of the stand rental space. They can contribute to the design of the graphics for the stand. If you need to ship out any products, they can contribute to that. So it's a very, very good programme.
Total project cost will be 1,700. The total project, so you don't have to double that.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Okay, sorry, I've just better news than that then. The total project cost has to be 1,700, not 3,400 minimum. So, okay, thanks, Grant. They change the rules all the time. But that's for benefit to you. That's good. In terms of training as well, if you want to bring in a third party, we encourage you to use the Chamber of Commerce. We know they have a fantastic department there that help you with export documentation, and we'd encourage you to use that. Typically the international team from Inverness would come out to your premises, deliver a half day for you, and that's roughly a cost unit of 250, say, roundabout ballpark figure. But we do encourage you to use that, because it's like any process. Once you do it once or twice, it becomes routine. It's a bit scary the first time round, so bring in experts, get it done the first time, and that helps. And obviously, well, we're still in the theme of third-party experts helping you. If you need to modify a product or service to make it right for the international market, you can be given help with that. mean, that could be something basic like, you know, putting a foreign language label on your on your product, and also if you want to translate pages of your website. So, you know, it's a very, very good program. It's a standalone application, and you can apply as many times you want, so you don't just apply once and that's it. You know, you can keep going and going. The current program finishes in September this year, but I believe it will be extended. So far at this moment in time, it's a European funded supported program, but it will continue, and if it doesn't, there's the man to pull up. I'm only joking. No, it's going to be continued. So I just want to finish off with a very, very brief case study here. Just to put it in perspective, I've been doing this work on a part-time basis for 2 years. I've worked with 120 odd companies in the Highlands and Islands. So this is just plucking one here, and I've picked one out in the Western Isles. So this is a typical exercise. What we did was the company got in touch with us through Business Gateway and said, look, we would like to export, but we're not quite sure what to do. And the company was actually going off in tangents. This happens a lot. You get an inquiry coming in one day, you spend all your time on that inquiry. We like to sit down and actually say, look, let's make this a bit easier for you. There's probably half the world that you wouldn't even touch. Let's identify that right now with you. And then if you get an inquiry from there, ignore it. And obviously, if you prioritise any markets as well, you can say my focus comes in there, because so often small companies like yourself could spend 2-3 days chasing up a lead and it can come to nothing. Whereas, you know, the Chamber of Commerce or ourselves could have said, look, let's not worry, let's forget about that. But with this company, they had 4 separate businesses. One was the manufacturing of candles, so that had international appeal. But the other businesses were very localised. It was a car hire business they had in a utilities company. So part of the strategy workshop was to say to this very small team, what is it you want to do here? Do you want to internationalise, or do you want to continue with the lifestyle businesses? They sold off the local businesses, and they're focusing on the candle business. So from the International Strategy Workshop, we also identified America as the biggest market for them, and we actually focused in North and South Carolina. There was a number of reasons for that. One, there's quite a lot of Scottish heritage in these areas. They also have huge Highland games, some of the biggest in the world there. So if you take your products there, you're going to have a very easy sell in there. And he also had a mentor over there as well, and this is quite remarkable. But this, you think this might not happen to you, but he was driving about Harris one day, and he picked up 2 Americans, and he spent the whole day driving them around, showing off his local area. And at the end of the day, a guy turned around and said, actually, you don't actually know what I do. It turns out the guy was a chairman of a huge construction company, and said, you've been so helpful to me, I'm going to give you free warehousing in America for your products. And they've helped him recruit sales reps in North and South Carolina. So that's quite an unusual one, but you can now start to see why we were choosing Carolina. But it all dovetailed into one, so it was good. So they've used the Go Global, you know, campaign as well, application, to go and do some visits over there, market visits, to brief their sales reps, obviously look at the warehousing. And, you know, we did a bit of branding work there as well, where they rebranded themselves. And that was working with ourselves, obviously with HIE as well, but and Business Gateway too, so everybody was involved there. So the company's doing extremely well. They were just back from India, where they were sourcing some raw materials, essential oils and things.